Consumer Reports has just exposed some of the most overrated cars in America, and what they revealed about these top-selling models is shaking the confidence of millions of buyers. Let's start with the bombshell that's got everyone talking. Toyota, the brand once synonymous with bulletproof reliability, just got hit hard. For the first time in years, several of their most popular models, including the RAV4 Hybrid, Corolla Cross, and even the new Prius, have been called out for troubling reliability issues. Consumer Reports pointed to everything from electronic glitches to transmission failures and even software bugs tied to Toyota's latest hybrid systems. Owners are shocked, and competitors are celebrating quietly in the background. But it's not just Toyota. Tesla, Ford, and even luxury brands like BMW didn't escape unscathed. In fact, Consumer Reports didn't hold back. They described some 2025 EV models as undrivable, plagued with infotainment freezes, battery management issues, and build quality defects that make long-term ownership a nightmare. According to the report, EVs as a category remain less reliable than gas-powered cars, mainly due to overcomplicated tech, poor integration between new systems, and cost-cutting in materials. That's a major blow for the EV industry, which has been trying to convince buyers that electric is the future. Now, Consumer Reports is warning that for many drivers, these cars could end up being money pits in disguise. But here's where things get even more shocking. The surprise winner of the 2025 rankings isn't Tesla, Toyota, or Honda. It's a brand almost no one expected to top the charts. According to the data, Mazda has quietly become the most reliable automaker in America, with near-perfect scores in powertrain durability, electronics, and customer satisfaction. Hyundai and Kia also made huge jumps. Their newest models, once dismissed for cheap interiors and reliability issues, are now outperforming long-time industry leaders. Meanwhile, Consumer Reports is sounding the alarm for anyone shopping for a new car in 2025. Their warning is clear: stop buying these cars. The report names several popular models, including the Ford Escape, Jeep Grand Cherokee, and Chevy Blazer, as some of the worst-rated vehicles in terms of long-term repair costs and reliability. They even called out the certified pre-owned scam, warning consumers that many CPO programs don't actually guarantee better quality. They just inflate prices with fancy labels and limited warranties. And if you think the luxury segment is any better, think again. BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Land Rover all ranked near the bottom for reliability. Owners complained of expensive software malfunctions, failing electronic systems, and sky-high maintenance costs that kick in just after the warranty expires. Consumer Reports even went as far as to say that some high-end EVs could bankrupt you in repairs once they're out of coverage. That's a brutal reality check for buyers who thought spending more meant peace of mind. This year's report doesn't just expose automakers, it's forcing a reckoning across the industry. Dealerships are panicking, resale values are shifting, and even insurance companies are reportedly reevaluating risk based on these new reliability trends. What's unfolding right now could reshape how Americans buy cars for the next decade, because when a trusted voice like Consumer Reports says, "Don't buy these cars," people listen, and automakers know it. And what's even more intriguing is how Consumer Reports explained why these brands are failing. They say automakers are rushing to add tech, advanced driver assistance, digital dashboards, hybrid systems, without testing them long enough. The result? Glitches, recalls, and frustrated owners. It's not that today's cars are poorly engineered, it's that they're over-engineered. Too much software, not enough real-world reliability, and the biggest victims are everyday buyers who just want something dependable to drive. But while some brands crumble under this new reality, others are adapting fast. Subaru and Lexus, for instance, still manage to stay near the top, not because they're flashy, but because they stuck to proven engineering and consistent quality. Even smaller players like Buick and Acura surprised analysts by improving year over year, showing that stability and simplicity might actually be the new formula for success in 2025's chaotic car market. And here's where it gets really interesting. Consumer Reports' internal testing data hints that some upcoming models for 2026 could completely rewrite the rules again. Automakers are already scrambling to fix what went wrong, and behind closed doors, the pressure is intense. Sources inside several automakers are reportedly furious over the public fallout. Engineers are being told to go back to the drawing board, and marketing teams are in full crisis mode trying to control the narrative. Because when Consumer Reports calls your flagship model a reliability nightmare, that doesn't just hurt sales, it destroys brand trust that took decades to build. But perhaps the most shocking part of all this is how fast public opinion is shifting. Social media is flooded with owners sharing their own horror stories. Brand new cars breaking down, infotainment systems freezing mid-drive, charging ports failing in winter. Some of these clips are going viral, amplifying the damage far beyond what a printed report could ever do. Dealers are already seeing it on their lots. Customers walking in with Consumer Report screenshots, demanding answers, or walking out entirely. And here's the twist nobody saw coming. It's not just the usual suspects being exposed. Consumer Reports called out even the so-called green heroes, brands like Rivian, Lucid, and even Tesla's refreshed Model Y, for unacceptable reliability scores. Despite all the hype around innovation and sustainability, the data shows that early adopters are paying the price in service visits, delayed parts, and constant software updates that fix one issue while creating two more. That's leading some experts to ask, are EVs evolving faster than the industry can handle? On the flip side, a few automakers that were written off years ago are suddenly shining. Buick's Encore GX, for example, scored higher than many luxury SUVs for reliability and owner satisfaction. Hyundai's Ioniq 6, a car many dismissed as a Tesla clone, outperformed nearly every other EV tested. And Mazda's consistent performance across nearly all categories has industry analysts calling it the new Toyota of reliability. Meanwhile, Consumer Reports didn't just stop at naming winners and losers. They dropped another bombshell that's shaking up the dealership model itself. Their investigation into certified pre-owned vehicles uncovered that many of these so-called factory-inspected cars were sold with hidden issues, sometimes right after warranty work that didn't actually fix the problem. They called it a marketing trick disguised as consumer protection, and now state regulators are starting to pay attention. The report also highlighted a disturbing new trend: skyrocketing repair costs for even the simplest problems. In many 2025 models, replacing a broken sensor or recalibrating an ADAS system can cost upwards of $2,000. Consumer Reports warned that these kinds of costs are becoming the new normal, especially as cars become more digital and less mechanical. That means owning a car could soon feel more like managing a smartphone: constant updates, hidden fees, and planned obsolescence. Consumer Reports' findings also reveal a growing disconnect between what automakers think buyers want and what drivers actually value. The report noted that customers consistently prioritize dependability and long-term value over flashy features. Yet most new vehicles are launching with complex touchscreens, over-the-air gimmicks, and advanced driver assistance systems that add cost, and often headaches. In other words, the industry is chasing the wrong dream. But perhaps the most ominous takeaway from this entire scandal is what it suggests about the future. If automakers don't slow down their race to digitize and electrify, the next generation of cars could be even less reliable and even more expensive to maintain. Consumer Reports is essentially warning that the industry is reaching a breaking point. Every year, cars become more like rolling computers, and every glitch, every sensor failure, every bad update chips away at consumer confidence. Yet there's also a glimmer of hope here. Brands that listen, really listen, could come out stronger. Mazda, Lexus, Subaru, and even Hyundai are proving that steady, measured progress still wins. They're not chasing hype, they're refining what works. And now, the data backs them up. Their vehicles aren't just lasting longer, they're satisfying owners in ways that over-engineered, tech-heavy cars simply can't. But make no mistake, this is an inflection point. The 2025 Consumer Reports rankings are more than just a scorecard, they're a warning shot. Automakers that fail to learn from this moment risk losing the one thing that matters most: trust. And once that's gone, it doesn't come back easily. Right now, meetings are happening in Detroit, Tokyo, and Stuttgart. Emergency strategy sessions to figure out how to respond. Do they issue recalls? Do they promise software patches? Or do they admit the truth that in the rush to innovate, they forgot the basics of what makes a great car? Some insiders say the first brand to come clean publicly could actually win back customers, while those who double down on denial could face long-term damage. And just as the dust begins to settle, Consumer Reports is reportedly preparing something even more explosive: a deep dive investigation into dealership service practices and warranty manipulation. Early whispers suggest the findings could expose how some dealers are intentionally delaying or denying warranty claims to cut costs, leaving customers to pay out of pocket for what should be covered repairs. If that report drops, it could spark outrage nationwide, and that outrage could spread like wildfire. Imagine thousands of frustrated car owners discovering that their dealership knowingly delayed warranty repairs, or worse, charge them for fixes the automaker was supposed to cover. Dealerships are already feeling the pressure. Some have begun offering extended warranties or deeper discounts just to calm nervous buyers. Others are rushing to assure customers that software updates will fix known issues. But Consumer Reports is warning that's not always true. In fact, they claim many of these updates are temporary patches that don't address underlying mechanical flaws. Industry analysts are calling this a turning point, a potential trust crisis for automakers. Because once reliability is questioned, everything else falls apart. Customers lose confidence, resale values plummet, and brand loyalty evaporates. And if the upcoming follow-up report, the one that's rumored to expose how some automakers manipulate early testing results, actually drops, we could see lawsuits, recalls, and public apologies unlike anything the industry's seen in decades. But here's the biggest wildcard. Consumer Reports hinted that some of the next generation of Chinese and Korean automakers may be outperforming the US and Japanese giants in early reliability data. If that's true, it could signal a complete power shift in the global market. And that's exactly what has legacy automakers terrified. For years, Chinese and Korean brands were dismissed as cheap alternatives. But according to early Consumer Reports data, companies like BYD, Genesis, and even newcomers like NIO and XPeng are quietly building cars with fewer defects, better quality control, and more consistent reliability than some of the biggest names in the business. It's a stunning reversal, and it's leaving American and Japanese automakers scrambling to catch up. Consumer Reports didn't name every brand directly, but industry insiders who analyzed the data pointed out something fascinating. Vehicles from BYD and Genesis had some of the lowest warranty claim rates in their categories. These brands aren't just competing on price anymore, they're competing on trust, and that's something Detroit and Tokyo used to own. Now, it's slipping through their fingers. Meanwhile, Consumer Reports is doubling down on its transparency mission. They've announced plans to expand their testing pool, introducing more real-world driving simulations, owner reliability tracking through connected vehicle data, and even partnerships with independent repair shops to cross-check manufacturer claims. This means automakers won't be able to hide behind marketing gloss or PR spin anymore. The truth about reliability, good or bad, will be out in the open. And here's where the industry panic truly sets in. Investors are watching. Stocks for several major automakers took noticeable dips after the report went live. Analysts are warning that reliability perception could hit brand valuations harder than any recall or regulatory fine. For automakers, it's not just about fixing broken parts. It's about restoring confidence in their engineering. And that's not something you can patch with a software update. One striking example, the Ford F-150 Hybrid, once hailed as the perfect balance of power and efficiency, scored far below average in reliability. Owners reported repeated electrical issues, transmission hesitations, and even complete power loss during towing. Consumer Reports labeled it a high-risk purchase. And for Ford, a company already battling recall fatigue, this ranking could not have come at a worse time. Tesla wasn't spared either. The Model 3 and Model Y, which once topped satisfaction charts, dropped dramatically in reliability ratings. Complaints ranged from misaligned panels and poor interior finishes to software glitches that left owners stranded. For a brand that built its reputation on cutting-edge technology, this blow is huge. Consumer Reports even hinted that Tesla's quality control remains inconsistent at best, especially as the company prioritizes production speed over refinement. But perhaps the most shocking twist came from the luxury segment. Mercedes-Benz and BMW, two of the world's most prestigious automakers, ranked below average in reliability. Consumer Reports cited overcomplication, with too many interconnected systems failing under real-world conditions. Their report even joked that owning a modern luxury car feels more like managing a computer network than driving a vehicle. It's brutal, but it's exactly what frustrated owners have been saying for years. Meanwhile, the brands quietly winning this war are the ones focusing on simplicity and refinement over flash. Mazda, Lexus, and Subaru emerged as the top three in overall reliability. These companies aren't chasing trends, they're perfecting fundamentals. Engines that last, transmissions that don't fail, and electronics that just work. Their approach might seem old school, but in a world drowning in gimmicks, it's paying off. What's even more interesting is how Consumer Reports broke down the data across powertrains. Hybrids still lead in reliability thanks to mature systems developed over years of testing, but plug-in hybrids, PHEVs, and full EVs, that's where trouble begins. The combination of complex software, high-voltage systems, and under-tested components has made them far more failure-prone. It's a direct contradiction to the EVs are the future narrative. and it's got investors spooked. Now, let's talk about what this means for you, the car buyer. Consumer Reports says the #1 mistake Americans are making right now is buying based on brand reputation instead of current data. A nameplate that was reliable 5 years ago might be a money pit today. That's why this new report is so important. It cuts through marketing hype and shows what's actually happening on the road. And for many people, it's going to change how they see their favorite brands forever. And that's exactly what has longtime drivers furious. The promise of modern cars was supposed to be convenience, safety, and efficiency. But instead, Consumer Reports says buyers are getting complexity, frustration, and unexpected expenses. One quote from their editor hit hard. Automakers have forgotten that reliability is the ultimate luxury. It's a line that's now being repeated across every automotive news outlet. Yet the most chilling takeaway might be how deep this problem really goes. Consumer Reports hinted that several automakers may have known about these issues long before release, but chose to push vehicles to market anyway, prioritizing quarterly profits over long-term customer trust. That revelation could spark investigations, especially if more owners come forward. And if that happens, 2025 might go down as the year the car industry finally faced its biggest reckoning since the diesel emission scandal. Still, amidst the chaos, there's a silver lining for consumers. Knowledge is power. By exposing these reliability gaps, Consumer Reports might have just saved thousands of buyers from costly mistakes. The data is out there now, clear as day, showing which brands are still doing things right and which are cutting corners. And for those planning to buy a new car in 2025, this report could be the difference between owning a dependable daily driver or a nightmare on wheels. But here's the part that's really going to shake the boardrooms. Consumer Reports isn't done yet. Insiders say an even deeper investigation is coming, one that could reveal which automakers are manipulating internal quality data to hide early reliability failures. If that report drops, it could trigger lawsuits, recalls, and a complete overhaul in how cars are tested before reaching consumers. The auto industry is holding its breath because if the next wave of findings is anything like this one, the fallout could be catastrophic. Automakers are already bracing for impact, and this time, no brand is safe. Industry insiders are calling it the Consumer Reports effect, where a single negative ranking can erase millions in sales overnight. Dealerships are fielding calls from nervous customers wanting to cancel pre-orders, while automakers are quietly pulling ad campaigns that featured cars now branded as unreliable. It's a PR disaster of epic proportions. Behind the scenes, some executives are furious with Consumer Reports, accusing them of being too harsh or biased against innovation. But that argument isn't holding up because the data doesn't lie. The report analyzed tens of thousands of owner surveys, repair logs, and warranty claims, real-world data from everyday drivers. And what it shows is that many 2025 cars, especially those packed with new tech, are breaking down faster than expected. Consumer Reports has hinted that they've already collected data and testimonies from mechanics, service advisors, and customers across multiple states. If these claims are confirmed, it could trigger not just class action lawsuits, but federal investigations into dealer networks and manufacturer oversight. Sources close to the publication say the upcoming expose will name specific dealerships and automakers with the highest rates of warranty rejection manipulation. That means every service invoice, every customer complaint, every denied repair is now under the microscope. For consumers, this could finally explain why getting warranty work done feels like pulling teeth. For automakers, it's a PR nightmare waiting to explode. And here's the part that has industry lawyers panicking. If Consumer Reports finds proof that manufacturers encouraged or turned a blind eye to these practices, it could violate consumer protection laws. The fines could be enormous, but the reputational hit even worse, because once customers believe an automaker knows about a defect and refuses to fix it, that trust is gone forever. Meanwhile, the report's ripple effects are already visible across the market. Used car values for some of the worst rated models have started dropping faster than expected. Dealers are quietly lowering prices on vehicles flagged by Consumer Reports, trying to move inventory before word spreads further. And buyers, more informed than ever thanks to social media, are starting to treat the CR reliability score as gospel truth before signing any contract. In fact, Consumer Reports' influence has never been stronger. What started as a simple vehicle reliability ranking has evolved into a movement, one that's forcing automakers to be more transparent, dealers to be more honest, and consumers to be more careful. The report's message is clear. It's time to hold the industry accountable. But let's not forget the human side of this. For the average car buyer, these findings hit close to home. Cars are the second biggest purchase most people make, and the idea that trusted brands could be cutting corners or hiding problems feels like betrayal. Consumer Reports captured that emotion perfectly when they wrote, "Drivers shouldn't have to gamble on reliability." That line has already become a rallying cry among frustrated owners online. And speaking of online, the internet is amplifying this story in real time. YouTube reviewers, TikTok mechanics, and independent journalists are dissecting every line of the report. Channels with millions of followers are comparing CR's data to their own experiences, showing side-by-side evidence of the same recurring issues. The result? A public reckoning unlike anything the car industry has seen since Dieselgate.